Hi, my name is Lisa Dublin. I do apologize for being late, but we want to talk about calling today. Are you walking in your calling? And I have some interesting statistics for you on people who walk in their calling and their own job satisfaction and overall life satisfaction. This is amazing. The statistics are, I think, mind blowing. They are expected, but there are also some elements of it that I really didn't expect, and we want to absolutely look at those this morning. Wherever you're joining me from, welcome to Basement Chronicles. Let's get right into it. So, here's the first statistic from the Journal of Positive Psychology. And that study revealed that individuals who view their work as a calling have better mental health and greater emotional well-being. From the Harvard Business Review, a 2020 study found that 9 out of 10 people would trade a portion of their lifetime earnings for more meaningful work. Are you one of those 9 out of 10? Are you one of those people, either who are you one of those people who right now you are walking in your calling, you're employing your gifts and your skills to a greater purpose and feeling absolutely fantastic about it? Or are you one of those people who I really don't want to wake up and go to work this morning? I don't like what I do. I think I have an idea of what I should be doing, but I don't even know if there's a market for it. Like, which problem would I solve? You could be that person, or you could be, you know what? I don't know what I want to do, but this is not it. In fact, do you know that there is actually a book called I Don't Know What I Want to Be Doing, but This Is Not It? I read that book when I was preparing like for writing. Hi Gail, good morning. Gail says really love your sessions. Look forward to them every week. Thank you. That keeps me going. That absolutely keeps me going. So there's a book called I Don't Know What I Want to Do, but This Is Not It. And I read that book when I was writing my book that comes out next year called I'm Not Going Back to the Office, right? Have you seen the cover? It's on LinkedIn. I'm kind of posting it, getting people ready, teasing it into the psyche, the consciousness of people that it is possible to make an impact and make an income by doing what you were called to do, by doing what your gifts and talents are most suited for. It doesn't have to be like you're a size 11 shoe, size 11 foot, and you are in a size 9 shoe. I felt like that for a lot of my life, okay? Working in jobs that I didn't like, and finally decided, oh, no, no more. After COVID and everything that happened, I recognized that there was a way forward with my gifts and talents. Like, I teach confidence in all of the things that I do, in speaking, in writing, in coaching. I think when you drill it down to what is the thing that I help people with, it really is with confidence, with being able to step out, with being able to do what you couldn't do before, with being able to look at yourself and say, hey, these are my gifts, these are my skills. When I look at them, this is the problem that I can solve. Let me step out and at least try. Now, these are the great statistics, and we're going to devote the first part of the conversation to speaking about calling, how to know what you want to do, what questions you should be asking of yourself, and looking around with curious eyes to find out what you should be doing. The second part of the research that I did in preparation for this week's, because we're talking about purpose this week, we're speaking about purpose and how to get there, and some of the missing ingredients that kind of make you believe that I can't ever do what I need to, what I was called to do. We'll look at some of those ingredients as well. Can you hear me okay? Thank you, Gail, for saying that. Here's the other statistic. And they said that walking in your calling and walking in your purpose, it doesn't often and always result in you being able to make a whole lot more money, right? Walking in your calling and walking in your purpose doesn't always mean that, okay, thank you, yes, you can hear me, that you are going to be making a whole lot more money, that you're going to be more financially successful. And I asked the question of myself, why? And in the second part of today's live, I want to talk about that, because as much as you think you're special, and you are, as much as I believe that I'm special, and I am, There are some basic foundational attitudes that would make us successful that sometimes we ignore because we feel entitled. Like talent is supposed to carry us into the best rooms and to give us the best prices because don't you know who I am? No. Once you recognize what your skills and talents should be placed to, then you have the arduous, the hard task of going out and making it happen. Are you ready? Let's talk. So, my first question to you, and I need you to talk back to me this morning. If you're watching me on Facebook, welcome to the Watch Radio family. If you're on YouTube, can I ask you to please go and subscribe to my channel? Okay. You need to subscribe to the channel. That's very important because I do a couple more things and I'm going to start talking in a while, right? About the topic, but let me tell you about a couple of things. I do a couple other things on Basement Chronicles, that channel. So for example, on a Saturday morning, I'm not going to be on LinkedIn. I talk about I'm a Christian and happily so. And so I love to talk about God like that. Oh my goodness, right? And so on a Saturday morning, and the views on this are really going up. One of the whole marketing tenets is that you speak to people's pain point, right? And for me, I recognize man's search for meaning is the deepest pain point. It's the deepest um, question that we have, and the deepest way that we can solve it. Is God, and so this gets way more views and way more engagement than the other things that I do. So, but it's only going to be on YouTube. And then it's going to be on Facebook on Watch Radio. So I want you to please go and subscribe to that channel on YouTube so that when I go live on a Saturday morning, there only, then you will be able to enjoy, to interact, etc. It's also going to be on Instagram as well. You can follow me there as well. So there's another reason to just subscribe to the channels that kind of feed you, inspire you. It makes all the difference. So go subscribe to Basement Chronicles on YouTube. Let's get into our topic today. What are you this morning? Are you the person who's walking in your calling? Are you that person? Are you that person who's waking up this morning, going into doing something that you like? Oh, sorry, what time? It's at the same time, 6 a.m. MST. So that is 8 a.m. EST. And if you're from the Caribbean, it is 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So yeah, I'm asking you to kind of spend 1 hour with me at 9 a.m. In the Caribbean. But I mean, it's worth it, okay? Or you can catch the replay. So 6 a.m. on Saturdays, I do Overflow. So that would only be on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore, right? Just don't even ask. Don't even ask. You just get me on Watch Radio on Facebook. Otherwise, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I am most of the time. And of course, on LinkedIn for some of my professional work during the week, right? Good morning, Rhonda. How are you? Rhonda, you're becoming a regular, my girl. Thank you for being here. Okay, so how do you know what your purpose is? Hey, Kenny, how are you? I'm saying hi to my people on Instagram. And do you know that if you can find your purpose and find a career that is aligned with what you were called to do? Hey, Shavana, good morning to you. If you can find what you were called to do, you're going to be more successful. You're going to make a deeper contribution. There are so many things, and I wrote them down. Let me go to my script because I get here and I get excited and I forget, like, hey, you did the work. Let's get to work, okay? When you are walking in your calling, and what I mean by that is this: I've got a simple equation for walking in your calling. It's your gifts and your talents, your gifts and your skills, plus your big why, and that is equal to your calling. And maybe it's an untested theory. We'll perhaps, maybe it's just a hypothesis at this point, but I've proven it in a couple lives. A lot of my clients I see who are walking in their calling, they are way happier. They're making more money. They are making a greater impact. And these are the things that I see that I'm like, can we test this out for everybody else? Like, if you know what your gifts and your skills are, gifts are the things that come naturally to you. I know many people like me just have words for days. Are you one of those people? You're a speaker, right? You have words for days. You can talk, okay? Some people can sing just naturally. Some people can paint. These are those, they were just gifts. God just gave them to you. You know, nobody, no. The skills are those things that were honed over time. And I always point to having better administrative skills than most creative people right now, because even though now I'm railing against, I'm not going back to the office. For a long time I worked in an office space, and I learned to kind of deal with paper procedures, to take the time and to go line by line and to know what is expected of you and to take action based on what is before you. So the administrative skills that I have, plus the talents that I have of writing, of speaking, of coaching. No, coaching for me is actually a skill. And I feel like the more I get into it, I'm getting very intuitive, getting to be that person who's kind of feeling the coaching. So we'll see where it goes. But that talent of speaking and writing, those innate abilities that were there from, from the time I was born, kind of thing, you have yours as well. And when I apply those to a big thing that I want to do in the world, then I find something that is fulfilling, something that can make income for me, something that I can sustain. And when I look at my clients, that's exactly what I see as well. I do believe you listening to me here today, it can happen for you too. That you can find out what your gifts are, find out what your skills are. Then you have to decide, okay, with what I have, like, what do I want to do with that? Is there a problem I want to solve in the world? Good, big or small? Big or small? Let me give you an example of somebody who wanted to do a small thing in the world and ended up being a billionaire. Do you guys know about Sarah Blakely? I always mention her on this. I've mentioned her here before, haven't I? She is the founder of Spanx. All women know about Spanx. Right? So these are the undergarments that kind of keep everything in. They make sure you don't see your VPL, visible panty line, that kind of thing, because you just like seamless undergarments to give you a very sleek, elegant, well put together look. So do you know how she started her Spanx line? Because she was wearing cream pants. She was a salesperson, I think, going door to door. And she just found that everything was bunching up and seeing all sorts of visible lines. So one day she took a pair of what we call in the Caribbean bicycle shorts, and she cut them through, right? Because they were long and she wanted them short, right? Maybe up to her knee, I suspect that's perhaps what it looked like. She cut them and she put them under her trousers and got that nice sleek look. And she's like, hey, I solved the problem for myself. Okay. There are tons of other women who perhaps have the same problem, not wanting to call attention to parts of your body because things are cutting, like the edges of your undergarments are cutting into your flesh. And so she went to work to make this happen for us, for other women. And here we have Spanx today. Okay. So that's an example of somebody who had an enterprising spirit, who asked a question why and went out to solve it. So my question to you this morning is, what problem can you solve? Now, the problem that you solve, we have all sorts of problems that we solve. When you know you're an entrepreneur, when you know you have something that perhaps people want, is when you can solve a problem, or you can frame the problem in such a way that's a pain point that people are going to pay for it. What problem can you solve? Like, don't get despair. Don't despair if you're hearing this question and you have no idea. First of all, write down all your gifts. What are you gifted at? And I always do an exercise. I'll probably do it again, but you can find it all over. One of the I don't have the book now. I can't remember what the book is, but there are lots of books about finding your why. My own book next year is going to lead you through that process, but you don't want to wait until next year March when I publish this book, right? you want to go ahead and start to think about, what are people asking me about all the time? One, like my power question to answer this about what my gifts are is always this: what is easy for me to do and hard for other people? Mm, can you put it in the chat? What is easy for me to do and hard for other people? I always came back to speaking, always came back to confidence. And I was saying, I went to a networking event. This is about why I think confidence is my superpower. Like, and I'll tell you why, right? Hey, Allison, how are you? Hey, Greg, how are you? Good morning on Instagram. I went to a networking event yesterday, and I was saying to somebody, I don't ever get the memo. And I have a feeling I have to explore it further, but confident people don't ever think of what other people think. That's what I mean by I don't ever get the memo. I don't get the memo of what people think I'm supposed to be. Like, I don't get the memo. And that makes it easier to just show up, right? To just show up and to just be myself and to do what I have to do because I'm tunnel vision. Like, even physically, if you see me walking, like running, driving, whatever, I'm looking straight in front of me. And that can be dangerous. Thank God for having a husband who's looking around, who's the sentinel and knows what's going on. But I'm tunnel focused on something. I'm looking straight at it. I'm not even considering, like, what could happen, what other people are thinking or feeling to help me to determine what my next step is. I just don't get the memo. And I feel like when you look at confident people, people who step out and do what they're supposed to do, they just don't get the memo. I see the memo as our fears, as what society says we should or should not be, as what your friends say you should or should not be. You know, another place you get memos in what people don't say to you. Oh my goodness. Think about it. How many people stepped out and did great things because other people said, everybody was cheering, yes, you can do this. Oh my goodness, yes, you can. For a lot of us, there is silence, and that is a memo to keep you in your place. There is silence where there should be encouragement. And what we don't look for, we look at the silence and we are complicit. Complicit means I agree with it. Yes, you're not saying it. Maybe it is because I shouldn't be it. Isn't that true? And we don't ever step out because you don't realize the silence in your head is louder than the voice that should be saying to you, hey, go ahead, do it. You can do it. A lot of the time, we have a ticker tape. You know what ticker tape is? You know how help me out here, in those people who are in New York, right? Is it New York Square? I've been there. What am I even saying? Help me out here. Times Square. Times Square. And I think too in London. I remember seeing it in London as well. Like, you see on the buildings, there's a ticker tape going around the buildings. You see it a lot, especially New Year's Eve when the ball drops and so on. You can see that ticker tape, that kind of thing on the buildings. Like, it's just, you know what it is. I have a ticker tape here. I should show. But a lot of us have a ticker tape in our head. And we let that dictate to us what we do and what we don't do. Think about it. What is your ticker tape? Well, your ticker tape should just be, I can do all things. For me, what's your ticker tape? What's running around in your head? What is programming you? What are you relying on to decide and determine whether you step out or you do something, or you figure out what your purpose is? Are you playing small and staying in your place because there's a memo in your head, a ticker tape that's running around? No, you can't. No, you shouldn't. No, you're not supposed to be that. No, you have to stay in your place. No, this is how society runs. No, you have to work a 9 to 5. No, there's no other option for you. No, you're this color. This is what you're supposed to do. No, they're that. Here's another one. We have a ticker tape for ourselves, and we also have a ticker tape for other people. Oh, yeah. So when I say I don't get the memo, it's almost like you have to fight against what other people think about you and what you're thinking about yourself. And the two things hardly coincide. And if they do, you're definitely staying in your place. For you to step out and to be bigger, you have to change the programming. You have to change the mindset. You have to change the thought that is running round and round in your head from something that is keeping you back to something that empowers you and says, in spite of, confidently, I am going to do this. Does that make sense? And so I was talking about confidence as something that's a superpower for me. What is it for you? What are you good at? Are you good at bringing people together? I know Greg is on here. Greg is a connector. I did an interview with him. It's on Basement Chronicles. Another reason to go sign up and to subscribe to that channel, please. Go sign up and subscribe to Basement Chronicles, because a lot of the Sunday interviews are there, extended interviews where I'm speaking with someone who's interesting, provides so much value, makes you think of life differently. I love those interviews. I'm starting to get back into them. But when you figure out what your superpower is, it's not hard to do. It's not hard. Listen, take the guesswork out. What is easy for you to do and difficult for other people? Write something down. What skills do you have? Okay. That's the easy part. You know, where, like, I find from doing this work and, pushing this message of find your why and, put the two things together, where a lot of people get stuck and hung up on is, what is my why? What's my reason for existing? I think we all have, like, I was in a room of entrepreneurs yesterday, and I can safely say every single person there was in business, obviously to make money, and secondly, to help other people. Isn't that what we all seem to be about? Like, do you know anybody whose lifelong mission? Well, yeah, actually, that's perhaps the wrong question to ask. Lifelong mission is to take down somebody else. Lisa, what are you saying? But for the most part, people who want to do better and who are living the best lives that they know, most people want to move forward. And in spite of themselves, they want to see other people move forward. Do you agree? And so it means that if you don't have a very specific thing, you can always rely on that public kind of goodwill that, yeah, like most people, I've got gifts and skills and I want to use them to the betterment of humanity, my family, my society, that kind of thing. That's a nice place to start. That can get you one client. That can get you one person to help. And then to figure out how you drill down into, as you do the work, as you try, as you do one thing, see it works and doesn't, as you put in that kind of effort, then you can decide on, how can I refine my purpose? And look at the time already. Oh my gosh. So, what I was saying about purpose and why it is that purpose does not always result in people being financially fulfilled is because we feel like, because I found my big why, there's a halo over my head that is a magnet that attracts money. And like, oh my gosh, I found my why. Here I am, world. And the world is like, who are you again? I don't know you. Did you market? Did you get to know me as a client? You have your big why, but is it mine? Like, who are you again? And I was listening to a podcast that made a distinction between creating effort or creating momentum and having momentum. And I want to quickly go into that before we end. I know I was a couple minutes late, so quickly go into that, and we'll continue tomorrow about that. Even though you have a great idea or you are walking in calling and purpose, you have to put in the work. And many people know this. That's not the problem. The problem is how we relate to putting in the work and where we are in the process of getting results. Notice how I couch that? Putting in the work and where we are in the process of getting results. Because there is a difference, and that is so true. There's a difference between when I discover the thing that I want to do, I've got to work at it. That's why they tell you that people who have a lot of talent, they relax. Like I went to, was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? A friend had a birthday party and I met some people there. One of them was an entrepreneur who was so funny. Here's what he said. We're taking photos and he's like, "Oh, I'm 6'3". Of course I'm handsome." Hey, friend said, I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall. Of course I'm handsome. That's like saying, and I mean he was kidding, but there's an element of that. I remember having to say that to one of my kids. It's not because you're tall you can play basketball. Okay. That them two things don't go together. Same thing. It's not because you're talented you're going to get success. You have to work at it. And you know what? I think the saving grace and the hope and the light in that statement is, if people who don't have talent and put in the work can get such great results, how much more somebody who has the talent and has the work ethic and approaches the entire process with the humility of effort? Can you imagine what you could do? We are going to speak about that tomorrow. Okay. So I'm going to end here today, you guys. Oh, by the way, if you're wanting to buy any of my books, they are going to be on sale on Black Friday on Amazon. So hold off on buying Worship at Midnight, or even Good Girl Gone Wife, which I published last year, or How George Jones Saved Christmas. They will be on sale for one day only, so you can get them on Amazon. I put a lovely deep discount on the books just for Black Friday. Get the books, you guys, as I build my little, collection of literary kids, literary kids, and help people to win in every area of life, because that is my calling. I'm going to use speaking, coaching, and writing to help people win in life. That's it. A simple little atomic ask of life. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow, where we're going to talk about being talented and hardworking. What is the result? Have a wonderful day, everybody. And I'll see you then. Bye. Take care.